Good morning and welcome to Dr. Jaimie Ronchetto from Cinema Vet on Cinema Drive in Santa Clarita. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I have to ask. I've got to ask because it just seems like we have had an abundance of rattlesnakes, an abundance everywhere. Every time I turn around, someone is telling a story about these gigantic rattlesnakes. We've seen them on the new steps over at Central Park. We've seen them in schools. We've seen them on baseball fields. We've seen them. It just seems like literally coming out of the woodwork. What's going on, Dr. Jaimie? Because I'm not like a fan.
Well, I am not a fan either, and I agree. They're everywhere. My friend even just sent me a video the other day of a giant one in her backyard. So, yeah, they're out and they're big and they'll get anywhere. So,
okay, first of all, see, if I was your friend, the for sale sign would be going up. If I found one in my yard, like, what do you even? You need to tell this story a little bit more, Dr. Jaimie. Like, what? She found it in her backyard. What was she doing and how did she find it? And I need more details.
Well, yeah, so she lives over in Circle J, and she has one of those properties that you have, like, proper yard, and then it goes down a hill into wildlands. So it was back in the wildlands more in the snake's defense, but still very big, and she was alerted to it by one of her dogs. So obviously that is the danger, is not only could we come across one, but one of our pets could come across one and not understand that they're bad news and to stay away. So that's the big danger, and what do we do in those circumstances?
Was the dog barking? Like, how did the dog alert your friend?
I think it was barking, but I don't know that much.
Okay.
She just said she alerted her to the snake.
Okay.
So I would assume it was barking and carrying on, having a fit, which, would be nice. You would hope that they would do that and not just go explore and see what kind of trouble they could get into.
Sure.
So, I think we've talked before in the past, but it certainly bears worth repeating. Like, there is a rattlesnake vaccine out that we can use, but it just kind of helps buy you some time, to get veterinary care should your dog get bit. It's only for dogs. Mm-hmm. They don't have one for cats. Anytime your animal's bit, even if you don't think it's very bad, you always need to go get seen by a vet and have it checked out, because it can get really bad, and certainly animals have died from bites before. But I do encourage my dog clients to, get the rattlesnake vaccine, and it is a yearly vaccine. The other really good thing to do for your dogs especially would be rattlesnake avoidance training. I actually took my own dog there this summer, and he's going to go for just round 2 to make sure he remembers what he learned. And that I was very impressed with. The particular place that I went had different stations where they do, sight only, sound only, smell only, and then everything all together using live snakes that are safe for themselves and safe from us, so nobody can get hurt. And it was really amazing watching them work. And fortunately, my dog kind of already innately knew to stay way away from them, which was very good to know. Mm-hmm. But other dogs don't know that. And so going through that training and learning that is not okay, saves them hopefully in the end.
That sounds amazing. I have never even heard of that train. This is the first time I've ever heard of something like that. And it sounds amazing, especially if you have any kind of a dog, but if you have dogs that sometimes big dogs stay outside. And if you've got those kind of dogs that kind of stay outside for the most of the day or whatever, I mean, how wonderful is this training?
Yeah, I was very impressed by it. It was great. And there's several companies that do it. So just doing a Google search and looking into it, and lots of them do their services, once a week or several times a week or several times a month, and they might change locations too. So, going to them was a little bit of a drive, but it was certainly worth it.
Absolutely.
So I would encourage that for sure for our doggy friends. And cats are a little bit trickier because they're, they want to be hunters, and if they're outdoors anyways, there's more risk for kitties for all sorts of reasons. So I do encourage them just to stay indoors, and then we don't need to worry about it as much.
So what happens, let's just go through the procedure real quick for maybe any new dog owners, or just the fact that like we sort of take it for granted if we haven't seen a snake in a while that it's not going to happen. But it just seems like there's been an uptick in sightings, and not only rattlesnakes, but like big, like 6-footers and stuff like that. So let's review. Yeah. I don't care if it's 4 inches long or 6 feet. I don't like snakes. No, just no. No. Yeah. But so we have to be careful. If your dog or your cat or any kind of pet, a rabbit, whatever, has been bitten by a rattlesnake and you see it firsthand, you can grab the pet and rush it to you guys over at Cinema Vet. I'm assuming is that procedure? You just rush them to your vet if you see it happen.
Absolutely. If you see your pet get bit, you want to go to either your veterinarian or an emergency facility, depending on what time it is, what day it is. Maybe call your vet ahead of time, make sure that they can be seen, because certainly us small animal practitioners that are not emergency vets sometimes are really overrun, so it might not be the best place for him. But he definitely needs to go to a veterinary facility. Certain places out here also carry antivenom, which you may or may not need. It's mostly just triaging, getting the dog started on fluids, making sure they're not in any shock, assessing any swelling or any bleeding, making sure they can breathe. So there's certainly, I've seen really bad snake bites and I've seen not so bad snake bites, and it all just depends. So always getting them checked out as soon as possible is the first step.
What happens if you come home? Like, let's just say, let's paint a scenario. You come home, your dog is an outside dog, and you come home from work or an errand or whatever, and you suspect that your pet may have been bitten, but you can't find bites necessarily. Is it better just to play it safe and just, bring the pet to the vet, or do you wait it out and see if there is some kind of reaction or a symptom?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it can be hard to see if they've truly been bit if you don't witness it happening and they're just acting off or something later. Usually you'll be able to see some sort of puncture wounds that are indicative of a bite, whether they actually released venom or not. So they can control their venom a little bit. Sometimes it's called a dry bite, where they're bitten, but there's no venom present in the bite, but you'll still see like little puncture wounds where the bite happened, and it can still swell. So many times you will find it somewhere, but it can be tricky. So always play it on the safe side. If you have any worries at all about your pet, when you come home from work or you've been gone and they're just not acting right, it's always best to get them checked out.
We've been talking to Dr. Jaimie Ronchetto from Cinema Vet on Cinema Drive. Give them a call. If you need a vet, if you're a new pet owner or you're changing vets or any of the above and you want some expert advice and expert care, go to Cinema Vet. It is 253-9300, 253-9300. Dr. Jaimie, thanks for joining us this morning. Take care. Stay away from the snakes, please.
You too. Thank you.